Hey folks, Tracy here. We've got another episode of installation on a direct injection motor of the catch can system. Got a 2017 Kia Sorento with the 3.3 V6. This is a direct injection engine. Not a difficult install. This is the first one we're doing here. So you've got two paths of ingestion of the crankcase vapors that are carrying the oil that causes the intake valve coking issues. We've got one which is the fresh or clean side that comes from the main air bridge with the convoluted tubing here and goes to the front valve cover. This is where the air, incoming air, comes in to the system. That's drawn around the camshafts, down through the oil return galleys. It comes up and it is evacuated into the top of the intake manifold on the backside, just behind the throttle body. So I've done a little bit of work before we started videoing to save time. I've taken the engine cover off. That's real simple, just snaps on, snaps off. 10 millimeter or a large Phillips screwdriver loosen the clamps on the main air intake bridge between the air filter housing and the throttle body. We're going to take pliers on these spring clamps, squeeze it, move the clamp up off, pull this off. I've already loosened these clamps, so after we've taken this line off, we take this whole assembly out. Now, once this is out, we're going to be putting a barb in here to continue this through. We're not going to cut any of the stock lines so we can make everything work together. Don't know if you're able to see, but there's quite a bit of oil that's evident in this tube here, and that's being ingested upstream of the throttle body. So we've had some minor ingestion upstream of the throttle body, but if you open the blade you can see the buildup inside, which we're going to want to wipe off. This is the culprit that's causing the intake valve coking and costing a little bit of fuel economy loss. What to do is we're going to take a clean rag. You can put a little bit of brake clean, and you're just going to push open the throttle body blade and wipe out as much of those deposits as you can. Because that eventually will cause a hesitation in acceleration off the idle, and we don't want that. So, all right, while we've got this apart, we're going to, since we're do not have a mass airflow sensor, this is an intake air temp sensor, we're going to locate the valve for the clean side separator. We're going to move it from this hose here to the top of the air box right here. So we're going to, using a 1/2-inch drill, and I'm going to put rag inside here to catch debris, and we're just going to pick a spot in the top center, and we're going to drill that. Then we're going to take our tap, that'll be included with the kit, and that can be turned with a wrench with the pliers, anything, you're only going to go about halfway down on the threads. Because we want it to be able to seal nicely. Brush off any debris. Carefully pull our rag out, which there's only just a tiny bit, which probably isn't necessary. We're going to take the 90-degree half-inch barb, a 3/8 NPT. We're going to thread it in. And this now will be our line that's going to connect to the clean side separator. The clean side separator we've already put on here is we drill out the factory cap. This is sealed with 2 O-rings, so when you go to put oil in the future, you don't have to remove that factory cap. You just pull this out, push it back into place. So we're going to measure our line that goes from here, and we're going to cut this. And one end is going to go on the clean side separator, and the other end is going to go on this new bar that we put in. So now the filtered fresh air comes from here into this portion of the valve cover. This barb that we took that loose on, there will be a half-inch vacuum cap. We're going to cap that so we're not leaving anything open in the engine. Now, we're going to, we can get in and show you right here is the foul or the dirty side of the PCV system. This hose right here, which comes from the back of the crankcase. We're going to squeeze that spring clamp. Move that up. And we're going to pull that hose loose. And it's on there pretty tight, so we're going to take a small flat blade screwdriver and we're going to pry around so we don't have to cut the hose. And there, we pulled it off. And as you can see, that's saturated in oil, and this is where most of our ingestion is coming in. Inside that hose is saturated. So we're going to use a half-inch line as well, I believe. Let's make sure. Now that's going to be okay. Now for mounting the can, you notice there's an unused stud in the back here. That's pretty much an ideal spot for this. You're going to take the modified Z, you're going to use 1 bolt and 1 hole so it offsets the fit. You're going to spread the clamp with a flat blade screwdriver so that it doesn't scratch. Slide it up where it needs to be on the can. Pull the screwdriver off, and then you can tighten this to clamp it. So we're going to test fit first, and we're going to see that that looks good right there. And we're going to tighten this up.
We can edit that out.
Clumsy hands. Alright. Make sure I got that correct. We're going to take a fender washer, M6 lock washer, and an M6 nut. And we're going to bolt it up. You'll need a 10mm wrench.
Don't worry about it. You can throw it out of the way.
Now, Phil, have you been tracking your highway fuel economy on this?
No.
You'll probably see between 1 to 3 miles per gallon improvement after this is installed because it reduces the knock retard and allows the engine to run at optimum timing. Plenty of clearance here with the hood, so that's not an issue. We can reach the drain under it. Be able to open it with a cup under there to catch it. So we're now going to start to run our line. Going to take this hose that we have disconnected in the back here. We're going to slide a 3/8 inch barb into it. We're going to take our pliers and move the spring clamp up so that it clamps it. Make sure that's good and snug. We're going to take our 3/8 inch line and we're going to go from that barb to the center of the can. No clamp needed on our hose side, only on the stock hose side. Right. And this is going to be the foul PCV vapors are going to come into the can at the center. We're going to take and measure out another length. It's going to go to the intake manifold barb that we disconnected that PCV hose from. We're going to put check valves in line, flowing away from the can. To the rear, and this, here's that barb, so we're going to need to, since it's pointing down, we're going to need to have the hose make a bend. You don't want to kink it, so cut it plenty long. And we've now got it hooked up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put back air bridge assembly. Before we do that, we're going to take a 1/2 inch barb and put into this hose. And add, you're going to move the clamp back down. This will be put into place here. A little bit tight. Screwdriver. Make sure to get this on. Okay, got the gearbox side, throttle body side. Okay. That I think is the most difficult of the whole installation. We're going to put this line here on this top one back together as it was. And we've got one more line to hook up here. And that is going to go here onto this. Okay. This elbow, or this barb here, transitions from 1/2 to 3/8. Make sure your clamp is there. We're going to slide on another piece of 3/8. Measure we need. Piece here. Again, check valve goes in line on both the outer ones. The evacuation side. Check valves flow away from the can, so always verify with the arrows that are etched into it. Let's put this together here. And that is the installation. Now, I'm going to go back over in summary of this. Excuse the extremely hot, sweaty day that we have here. So, the can is going to mount up on the firewall itself. Crank to tighten it a little more. There we go. We have clean side separator, replaces the oil fill cap. Goes to the 90-degree barb that you drilled and tapped into the filtered portion of the air box. Anything in front of this is unfiltered, on the back side is filtered. We are coming from the crankcase to the inlet, which is the center barb of the can. Our primary evacuation is from the intake manifold here. Check valve will prevent any backflow. Anytime you're accelerating or under wide open throttle, intake manifold vacuum will drop to 0. So we want to make sure that we have a secondary suction source, and that's going to be provided by the airflow past this barb that originally was the clean side, just in front of the throttle body. So when you accelerate and intake manifold vacuum drops, this check valve will close, this one will open, and it'll use this suction as evacuation. And you're giving constant removal of the contaminants, oil vapors, and other compounds you don't want as part of the combustion process. And Phil, if you want to start your car up, we're going to check to make sure we don't have a check engine light, any vacuum leaks, and we should be good. Everything seems to be good. With your finger over the drain, open the drain just to make sure you've got good suction. We've got great suction. So we've now eliminated up to 85% of the intake valve coking. We're increasing fuel economy, we're extending engine life, and we're extending oil change intervals because we're removing most of the contaminants before they can mix with the oil and contaminate it. Last thing is we'll put the engine cover on. Tuck any of these lines up so they'll look nice and neat. Make sure everything is tight, and we're good to go. We've got another engine finished. Thank you.